Hello, friends. This is Dave Hurwitz, executive editor at ClassicsToday.com, here to talk about a box set which, believe it or not, is still available. And it really is kind of amazing that it's still available. It's this one, and I urge you to get it while you can if the repertoire is of interest. It's the LaSalle Quartet doing the complete quartets of Schoenberg, Berg, Webern, and Zemlinsky with a bonbon at the end. Apostle. This was like Hans Erik Apostel, wasn't it? Something like that. I'll tell you exactly, because he wrote a string quartet too. No one's heard of him otherwise. It's a string quartet in Schoenberg's 12-tone dodecaphonic style, and it sounds like absolutely nobody in particular, because a lot of music written in that style sounds more or less anonymously in that style. Hans Erik Apostel. There he was, 1901 to 1972. His string quartet number 1. Maybe there are others. I have no idea, because the first was enough for me. And I'm saying that, facetiously, because you're going to say, well, I'm not taking it seriously. I do. This is a wonderful, wonderful set of all of the string quartet music by the Second Viennese School. Now, Schoenberg wrote 4 string quartets plus an early one in D major. It's in major. It's tonal, but the first 2 are tonal anyway. The second one is the famous one. It's the famous one that has the soprano solo that sings a text, breathing air from a distant planet. It's all about newness coming along, and it's marvelous. And here the soprano is Margaret Price, who's like fabulous. I saw a live performance of this that was really quite remarkable. It was at the Kuhmo Music Festival in Kuhmo, Finland. And they have a concert hall, a beautiful concert hall. It's in the middle of nowhere. It's like around the Arctic Circle, And they had like mosquitoes the size of helicopters. And when I woke up the next morning after swatting at them all night, the wall of the guest house where I was staying looked like Matisse's Diary of a Knife Thrower, with splatters of blood everywhere, which somehow set up the Schoenberg String Quartet very, very well. In this particular hall, they use it for the Kuhmo Chamber Music Festival, whether it's in session, when the weather's nice during the summer, and then in the winter, they use it for films. It's like a movie thing, but it's really a nice place, a beautiful, tiny little town, 1 traffic light, a pizzeria with strange orange-colored cheese. It was really very, very interesting. It's a wonderful festival with all kinds of terrific repertoire. And I hadn't ever seen Schoenberg's second quartet done live. I only had recordings of it. And it really does work beautifully. It's a terrific piece. Anyway, the other 2 are in his dodecaphonic style, and they're difficult. They're very, very difficult. But so what? Life is difficult. Do we care? No. Once in a while, they're good to listen to. They're very fine works. And how do we know that they're fine works? Well, you know that they're fine works because when you're done listening to them, you kind of feel like something important has happened. You may not know what quite yet, but they're it's not the difficulty of them. There's something's being expressed there somehow. Anyway, that's how I feel about them. And I enjoy them when I'm in the mood. And so you should have, the whole point of collecting these things is to have things when you're in the mood. So that's Schoenberg. Then you've got all the Webern stuff, which of course fits on one disc. I have a personal preference for the Quartetto Italiano's Webern, which I think is just amazing. But a lot of string quartets have done it. And the LaSalle Quartet are, they were one of those groups that was not hot and heavy in the way they approached this music. They were precise. They were technically very, very polished, and a little cool emotionally. Webern, you wouldn't think would be, somebody who's like ready to emote all over the place, but there is feeling in his music, and the 5 movements are wonderful, and the bagatelles are fabulous. I like the bagatelles best of all of his string quartet music. And I kind of like the Quartetto Italiano for the warmth that they bring to it, but I can't complain about this. I really can't. And finally, you've got Berg, his string quartet opus 3, which is perfectly listenable, and the lyric suite, which is, speaking of hot and heavy and passionate, woo-hoo, hoo-hoo-hoo-hoo. All of this music was recorded also by the Juilliard Quartet, especially the Schoenberg quartets, also superbly well. I can see somebody preferring those over these, but we're talking about apples and oranges. They're different performances, but excellent in their way. Now, the Zemlinsky quartets, which are also in here, were available separately. And this was, I think, a major contribution to the quartet literature. Zemlinsky, as I mentioned just in my little chat on If I Could Only Preserve One Work by Zemlinsky, never went as far as Schoenberg into atonality, although his music becomes extremely chromatic. And more to the point, it's not even that. It becomes, what's the word? I mean, there's a delicacy to his music. It's rarefied. Connoisseur's music, really it is. And again, that's fine. I'm a connoisseur. If you're a connoisseur, you're going to enjoy it. But the big piece by Zemlinsky was the second string quartet, which is a really big, giant late romantic work. If you like works like Schoenberg's Verklärte Nacht, Transfigured Night, pieces like that, then you're going to really like the Zemlinsky second quartet, because it's that kind of turbulent, troubled, really, really passionate, spontaneous, but at the same time, formally immaculate kind of work. Really, really a special piece. And this Apostle string quartet, the Apostle is, just goes to show that there's great atonal music and there's less great atonal music, or 12-tone music, whatever you want. And part of the reason of listening to these is to learn the difference, because you do hear a difference. I mean, what's so wonderful about having all of this in a set is that although Schoenberg, Berg, and Webern get clumped together as the second Viennese school, they had very different styles. Very different, even when using some of the same techniques. And that's the wonderful thing. It's hearing each composer's own personal voice speak through the medium of the quartet, through the medium of the 12-tone method, and to do it in a way which is absolutely personal and wonderfully communicative. And so I think this is a great set to have. And I recommend it accordingly. Get it while you can. I just checked on Amazon. It was $35 for 6 CDs. It's a steal, frankly. It's a great deal. I don't know how long it's going to be around or what the deal's going to be. So, get it while you can. It's important. And there will be times when it will be just the ticket, for some of you anyway. So keep on listening, friends. Thanks for joining me. Take care.